And one solution, and this was much debated, how to deal with the threat posed by concentrated economic power to democracy, to democratic institutions. And one of the solutions was antitrust, anti-monopoly policy that was enacted. Now, today, we still have, in most democratic societies, some version of antitrust law.
Yes, right.
Or anti-monopoly law. But today, we think of it mainly as a way of protecting the consumer. Because the theory of monopoly today, the dominant one, is that the problem with monopoly is that a few companies dominating an industry can drive up consumer prices because there isn't genuine competition for the consumer. And it's true that monopoly power does have this effect on enabling some companies who dominate markets, who don't face much competition, to boost consumer prices beyond what they would be in a truly competitive economy. But that's not the only rationale for antitrust law. We have forgotten, we've lost sight of the traditional purpose of antitrust law, which was to hold economic power to democratic account, to prevent such concentrations of power in the economy that they would frustrate democratic control and democratic authority. And so here's an example, very concrete example, of an area of law and policy where the civic conception of freedom has gradually given way to the consumerist idea of freedom. And the civic democratic rationale for antitrust has faded and given way to the consumerist rationale for antitrust. Now, recently, it's interesting that the Biden administration has initiated vigorous antitrust policy, especially vis-a-vis the tech companies and the social media companies, because now they are the companies that exert enormous power over the economy, and where there is relatively little competition, or they've been able to dominate their competition. And so, but it's clear now that action needs to be taken to rein in the power of big tech and social media. And the Biden administration has begun to do this in a serious way. And the rationale can't only be consumer price competition. Facebook is free to the user. But the threat it poses is to democracy, as we've seen, with misinformation and with toxic postings, toxic public discourse. So I think there is now an opening to revive the civic rationale for antitrust when we recognize the danger to democracy posed by big tech and social media companies.